Uh, okay, so this is Eleanor Wyatt with the Binji Ministries, and I've got some folks here that have just come back a few weeks ago from Uganda. We've got Todd and Lisa Cowan and Sherri Jackson. So thank you all for being here, and wanted to give you an opportunity to answer a few questions and share some things. Now, Lisa, you've been one time before, but Todd, this was your first time, and Sherri, this was your first time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I'm going to start with Lisa though. Lisa, you've been once. Why did you want to go back?
The what really made me want to go back was when Cecilia died and we had 20 more orphans, and I just thought those kids need me, and I just wanted to go back and see what I could do to love especially those kids and everybody else there that needs so much.
Mhm. So, Todd, you let Lisa go the first time. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so, what made you decide to go?
Um, I think a lot of it was when Lisa did go the first time, she was sharing so much of what was going on there. And I think I even put it in my fundraising write up. I said like I never imagined falling in love with a people half a world away that I've never met, and that the only way I did know them was through what Lisa was sharing. But yet, just hearing what was happening and the needs and whatever, I just um, kind of fell in love with them, and I thought I needed to go. And I didn't. I remember praying because I was like, "Is this really God? Is this really it, or am I just like jumping on the bandwagon? Like, am I really supposed to go?" And um, I don't. It didn't seem like he gave me any clarity as to why I should be going, but I knew that he was telling me to go. So
I know you had said something in our conversations that you weren't sure what you were going to do while you were there. Uh,
yeah.
how did how did that viewpoint change once you got there?
Well, I think for a little while I still wondered.
Mhm. You did.
Um, but I mean, as you, because we were there almost 3 weeks, and so as we spent more time there, like we were praying for them and so on, and that was awesome. And so there was praying with them, but then being able to meet with, for me, I think where it shifted for me, where I started to feel like actually maybe I knew a little bit of why I was there. I was there to meet with men. I was there because of my agricultural background and hopefully the ability to give them advice or to help them. Um, but I think in a large part, I just learned a lot more about agriculture there than probably I helped them. But and then the opportunity for us to speak like about our marriage and about marriage really seemed to, because it's something we're passionate about, like each other. But we're passionate about like following God and loving each other, having, aiming for a godly marriage. And so um it progressed as we went, right? So
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay. So, Sherri, I know you and Lisa, you were already friends with Lisa and Todd, right?
Yeah,
So,
long time friends. Yeah.
so what drew you to have an interest in maybe uh, going to Uganda and working with the Binji Ministries?
Well, I kind of joke tongue in cheek about 8 weeks before Lisa asked me. I was just praying to God. It was at the end of, I guess it'd be at the end of 22. Lord, where do you want me to be? Where do you want me to work? Who do you want me to meet with? Guide and direct me. And within a few short weeks, Lisa had sent me a message. Do you want to go to Uganda with us? And the funny thing is, I never said no. I never found a reason to not go. And then I really started to get excited about going and experiencing Africa and just seeing what this side of the world lives like. Not really knowing what I'm getting into.
Okay.
That and Todd and Lisa were so merciful with me as my friend. They walked me through feelings of homesickness and some blues, and feeling overwhelmed. Like I truly wanted to, within the first week, I wanted to pack up and go home. And my husband and I kind of laugh because we made very little contact. I maybe texted him twice, but I made one phone call to him. And he said, I'm really glad you reached out. He said, I wasn't sure if it was going to be a really costly phone call, but at this point, it doesn't really matter. And in combination with him and I chatting it out, Todd and I, especially because Lisa had already been through this. So I felt like Todd and I were kind of going through the newness of this together. And prayer, like they were praying for me. The small villages of people that I had never met, they're praying for me. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like within a day and a half turnaround of me thinking I want to go home, I realized I want to stay. I want to fulfill this mission. And then I realized it became like second nature, and I really enjoyed it. And getting to know personally these people, I can't erase that. I'm now emotionally attached to these people.
Mm-hmm. So you said you had expectations. How did what you expected to happen compare to what actually happened?
I guess I expected what happened and what was there, but I didn't expect it to be so hard on me personally. I thought, okay, I'm here for 3 weeks. I'm here to do a job. I have willing hands. I feel God has sent me. But I didn't realize with all the factors of, maybe being a little homesickness, the anti-malaria drugs, having kind of the flu or the cold, and just seeing the poverty, all of those things combined was kind of a perfect storm for me and made me want to pack my bags and go home. But like I said, with all the prayer and everything, and God really just put on my heart, you know what, Sherri, you can do this. It's time to grow up. Don't be soft. Don't be wimpy. You were born for such a time as this. Do your mission. So I guess maybe the expectations, it was the expectations within myself that I didn't meet, or I didn't come up to the bar. But with time and with prayer, I definitely.
And I can tell you, Sherri was amazing. Man, Sherri came into her own as we were there praying for these people, and so powerfully, right? Sherri was taking no guff. Like it was like, Satan, you're leaving, you're getting out of here, and I'm gonna keep praying, and I'm gonna keep telling you to go until you do. And yeah, it was amazing to watch the transition. So it was cool.
I couldn't have handpicked two better friends to go with. Like I'm very the experience that the three of us went through. I still, as I'm back to my normal life, I still will have thoughts come to me throughout the workday or throughout a day at home, or I'm with my family, And I'm like, did we really go there? Did we really experience this? And we did. And I wouldn't have done it with anybody else but Todd and Lisa. I love the ministry house. It was such a beautiful accommodation. We didn't need that lavish or that beautiful. I just thought it was so nice. And it was kind of funny because I had my own little apartment, they theirs, and I would just kind of across the hall knock on the door. Hi guys, I'm over here. And we'd have our little chit chat, or we'd go out to the veranda and talk. And the three of us really bounced a lot of things and a lot of emotions and situations amongst us.
Okay. For all three of you, did the level of emotional attachment surprise you?
Yeah.
I would say yes, because it's easy to separate yourself from something through a screen or through stories, right? And even like I felt there was already some attachment because of the stories that Lisa had shared the first time she went, but nowhere near the level like when you're face to face and you're holding the hands of someone who is suffering and they have nothing and they can't get the help that they need, and you're looking them in the eyes and holding their hands and praying with them like that. It's just, you know, um I don't know. It's amazing. Yeah, and I'd say the first week was probably was overwhelming because the first Monday, 2 days in, we were praying for everybody in the village, and so
Yeah.
it was like, woo.
We had been exposed to a lot in a few short hours.
Yep.
For the good, bad, and the indifferent.
Yeah.
And now that we're experts at it, right?
Yeah. And that being said, and I don't mean to say that in a complaining way or that we shouldn't have done it way. I don't mean that at all. It was just so much, and I don't think anyone else would probably experience anything different. I mean, I think it would be an emotional overwhelm shock for anybody to do what we did in the first 3 days of being there, right? It would just be so much. And but yet that also built us, that also created the foundation for the rest of it.
Yeah.
Because if we can get through that, then, and I think was it the first week, second week? I just remember going to, it was Belonge, praying for Charles. There was a couple, there was somebody with a hearing thing, and there was Charles, he couldn't turn his head to the left. And I remember praying for him, and like I could just feel God moving that day. And then for him to come back like in a half hour, and he's like, I can move my head. Like I can turn my head both ways. And then to go back the next week and follow up and say, how's your neck? Right. To be with him and just walk with him and go, how's your neck? And he's like, I haven't had trouble since. And I'm like, God, you are so good.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I love those stories. As a dental assistant, I got a really kick out of I had some prescription mouth rinse, and everyone was able to do a little swish, and boy, oh boy, the reports back from that, like I think it was El Shaddai's dad, maybe.
Yeah.
Was he the pastor of that group?
Yeah.
And he said, a lot of them said the oral pain that they had has diminished, and they were just so grateful, and it made me chuckle, but it also confirmed to me that it was a God moment. It wasn't the oral rinse; it's God's working.
Yeah.
It's God, like and it's really just our hands and feet. That's it. We're not, I had a few people back home, pat in your back, congratulate. And I said, please don't, like, it's not, this isn't for a stroking or a congratulatory. It really isn't. I says, anybody can do this. Just be hands and feet. Just be willing to do what you're called to do. And we were called to do things that I didn't think that we'd be called to do. Right, Lise?
What were some of those things?
You know, meeting female needs, right?
Can we say that here?
Yeah, just meeting up with other females and discussing troubles that they may have. And I'm like,
Feminine issues,
yeah, issues, exactly. I'm like, bless their souls that they felt that they could trust us, that they could come to us, and hoping that anything that we had over the counter plus prayers, anything like that would help. But yeah, meeting those needs, I didn't anticipate that, but we did.
Awesome.
I was blown away. Sorry. I was blown away. We're in Bolonga and we're talking with marriage. We talked 2 weeks about marriage there. And so here's, not the whole village, but there's men, women, and children. We're talking about all ages, all sections here.
Well, not little children.
No, you're right.
Teenagers.
They're kind of around. But anyways,
Yeah.
a broad spectrum of people there, male and female. And like, I just know from here in North America,
and older people,
guys with guys won't be honest
No.
about marriage. And here's a village of people in front of everybody else. And they're like asking like pretty personal questions.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we want help.
Yeah.
They want
need
answers.
help.
They want change.
But yet they're kind of laughing about it. They were just so open and so hungry. And it was just so awesome. Like Daniel, I love Daniel. He's like, we talked about, I don't know, kissing or something. Somehow there was something came up. Oh, I know. They were asking, the women were saying the men don't want to kiss them or something. And the men were kind of like, what? And Daniel.
This is Daniel in Bolonga?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's at the back and I don't know if he put up his hand or something. Anyways, he said, I'm going to practice my kissing. And the next week I go back, hey, have you been practicing your kissing? Right? And he laughed and everybody around laughs. And it was just so awesome to see how open and like, we can learn so much from there. Like if we could just live that way here, but we're so protected. We're so, within ourselves, like, oh, we got to keep everything a secret. We got to look a certain way. I don't know. They're just an open book. It was amazing.
I admired that. Like the conversation that you're talking about, the initial conversation, I'm like, it could have blew me over with a feather. But then after a while, it's like they let their guard down. And I was so proud of them for doing that, because I feel here in North America, you can't let your guard down. Conversations that we had there, I feel that you would be judged or people would kind of, but they are an open book and they kind of crack me up. Like just some of the things that I think that we have a lot of the same humor. And I think we really bonded as a mission team those days driving from village to village. The laughs and the funny things. We would talk about what it's like to be a Canadian. They would talk about what it's like to be a Ugandan. And I just felt like we were ebony and ivory. It was funny.
And even for us, it wasn't like we were all happy and gleeful all the time either.
Yeah.
Luke and I had rough days too. And there was no hiding it. We were in the same car for hours.
Yeah.
We were working together. We became an open book too. So we all went through it together. So
I love them.
Yeah.
And I do miss them. A part of me, I think I just kind of walking around in a bit of a daze a few days after. And I remember saying to my husband, like, there's things I have to tell you, but I think I have to let it out bit by bit. I can't just unload it all at once. And he's like, okay, I'll listen. So it would be just during times on our vacation or during times at home. And I'd remember something and I'd say, oh yeah, did I tell you that ... Or he would ask me questions. He's like, are Ugandan people touchy-feely? Do they show affection? And I'm like, oh, they're very affectionate. Very, like I says, they're up in your face affectionate, which I love because that's my love language. So
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for sharing. We've got just a few minutes. I want to ask you to what message do you have for anybody that is praying about that God may be wanting them to maybe come work with the Binji in particular for a period of time, a few weeks or a few months? What message would you have for them? Who wants to go first?
Well, that I'd start with, there's always the thought of, well, what do I have to offer? What can I do? What would I do? Why would I go there? Right. And I know, Eleanor, you had said it. You said, well, sometimes you just have to go that first time to figure it out. And like I said, as the week,
And
as
you
the week's
didn't believe
gone,
me.
you started to learn. We started to learn what what is our groove? What is our thing? It was so amazing to go walking with the men into their field. And here's a language barrier, right? But I know fertilizer, and I'm talking about, okay, what kind of fertilizer do you put on? And the one guy said, mop. And I'm like, mop? And then I'm like, oh, 1152-0. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, hey, we're speaking the same language.
that's awesome.
And so you will find your groove. You will find, like, don't discount yourself because, and actually maybe it's prideful of me. It's prideful of us to think, oh, what do I have to offer? Or, you know, what is it that I would really do, right? It's what is God going to do through you, and just let him, I think, is
Okay.
one thing. So
All right. All right. Sherri, how about you?
If you have a nudge at all to join the Binji, to help with Binji, or to go, and God is leading you, I mean, all I asked was, God, what did you want me to do for the year of 2023? And he answered me. I still kind of laugh at God because don't ask him something and not expect an answer. He will answer. So I would encourage, I just feel the Binji ministry is so reputable. So it's very transparent. It is what it is. It's there for hands-on.
Can't hear you. Are you
Sorry.
your mic?
When I came back and I was able to tell people, I said that, X amount of dollars was able to help, or over-the-counter meds that we have brought, they were able to help. Everything's tangible. Everything is useful. And who thought that, like, just even bringing toys and balloons to the kids, or a lanyard and a pen, like, they're just so grateful. And I really didn't know. I'm with Todd. Like, maybe it was a pride thing. What could I do? But it's really not about what I can do. It's about just being there, being open to God moving through me. So
it's amazing to be part of something that's so grassroots and
yeah,
not so organizationally top heavy, maybe. Not that we can't use help on the in administration and whatever. I mean, that will come, but just to be so grassroots and so real, boots on the ground in the villages, and real with people. And I think that speaks to the people in the villages. I think that we're meeting them at their level. We're not just sweeping in and saying you should do things this way. We're meeting them on their level, and I love that we get to do that as part of the Binji. We get to do that.
Yeah.
So Lisa, what would you say? What would you tell somebody who might be considering?
Well, I guess just be open. Like, again, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know. Yeah, I really didn't know my place or what I could offer or anything. But I think because Musamba understands his people so well.
Yeah.
He asks a lot of really good questions. And he I guess he's a really good leader. I never really thought about it before, but literally he's literally leading by driving us there, introducing us, taking us there. And then that's actually even how we got talking about marriage, is because he was asking like, well, how something about being faithful for so long and dating before we got married and all of that, and it led into this huge teaching conversation. And that's just one example that he just understands what's needed and can just come in and help guide us into what needs to be done.
It truly is that we couldn't do all we do without the Ugandan team there
Oh, yeah.
with Musumba and Fazira and Evelyn working with the
Mm-hmm.
children and such. So
Evelyn did a lot too.
and a lot.
A lot.
Ryan was amazing.
And Joel and
yeah.
Joel.
Petra. Yeah.
There's
A
so
lot
much,
of
but
people helping.
you've seen firsthand
Yeah.
now. There's a
Yeah.
harvest, and we
Martha.
need workers to
Yeah.
go into the harvest. So
Mhm.
thank you for letting us, let me record this and get some of your thoughts and in that. And, you know, I think of it, Psalm 37:23 says, the Lord delights in the ways of the man whose steps he has made firm. Though he stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hands. And like you guys were willing to hold on to the Lord's hand and let him lead you.
We had to.
He had to. So I would, if anybody is thinking about this, and you want to explore it, please reach out to us. And who knows, it might be your turn to go. But thank you guys so much for going. Thank you for ministering to those people. I'm headed back here in just a couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to hearing firsthand the testimonies from the people of all the ways that the Lord used you guys. So
Well, thank you for letting us talk about it, because in some days it feels like it's trapped inside. And so it's just great I feel excited again.
All right. All right. So you guys be blessed. I'm going to stop the recording, and we'll say so long to all who are listening.